Hi, and welcome to Cloudbound. This is a place to relax, feel calm, and get ready for sleep. I'm Donnie, and I'll be with you tonight. Thanks for joining me. Tonight's story is a gentle one, perfect to help you wind down. So get comfy in bed, take a deep breath, and let your body start to relax. Whatever kind of day you had, it's over now. There's nothing more you need to do. Just let your thoughts slow down. Feel the quiet around you, and know it's okay to fall asleep anytime. Tonight's story is about a traveler who arrives in a quiet village high up in the sky, where the clouds drift slowly and the wind guides each day. There, they meet new friends. One who fishes from the sky, and another who knows life on the ground. As time passes, the traveler learns new things, like how to fix kites and read the wind. But what surprises them most is how this faraway place starts to feel like where they truly belong. So now, let's float up to Wind Hollow together and begin our journey in the sky. You step off the gondola, and your feet land on the soft wooden boards of Wind Hollow, the sky village that traders talk about in the markets far below. The platform wobbles gently, like standing on a big waterbed, but you're high in the sky. The clouds below look like mashed potatoes, thick and white, covering everything. You can't see the ground at all, just the tops of balloon sails and long ropes that hold up the village like puppet strings. The air is warm and smells like sweet steam and old wood. Somewhere close, someone is cooking something that smells like grilled honey and herbs. Your stomach growls a little. You haven't eaten since sunrise. You look around. Everything here is made of light-colored wood and knotted ropes. The houses look like birdhouses. Some small, some big, some with bright flags fluttering in the breeze. The roofs are round and smooth, built with curved slats that shine in the sun. People walk slowly, holding on to rope railings or swinging in hammocks tied between poles. They all wear long robes with thick belts, and their shoes are soft and wide like slippers. No one rushes, no one yells. You hear music in the distance. It's soft and watery, like someone is playing bells underwater. The sound drifts across the platforms and into your ears. A small boy with a blue kite runs past you, laughing, his bare feet padding on the wood. He jumps from one board to another and disappears behind a curtain of beads. You feel a breeze on your cheeks. It smells like salt and wind and warm dust. You reach out and grab the thick rope railing beside you. It's scratchy under your fingers, but it makes you feel steady. The whole village moves slightly, back and forth, as if it's breathing, up and down, side to side. You take a deep breath and let it out. You've never been this high up before. You walk slowly across the first bridge. It swings a little, and your heart thumps. But there's a net under it, tied to the side. You're safe. Beneath you, fish with glowing tails dart through the mist. One of them looks up at you. It has silver eyes and a round mouth. It blinks. Then it swims away. A woman waves from a small stall. She's slicing yellow fruit that smells like lemons and baked bread. You smile and wave back. She points to a bench nearby. You sit. She brings you a small wooden plate. On it are slices of the yellow fruit, a warm round biscuit, and a tiny jar of thick pink sauce. You dip a piece of fruit into the sauce and bite. It tastes like sugar and sun and a little bit of pepper. Your shoulders relax. First time in Wind Hollow? She asks. You nod. She smiles, her eyes wrinkling. It takes time, but soon you'll feel it, how the wind carries everything here. You thank her and give back the plate. She waves you on. You keep walking. You pass a group of children sitting on the floor, tying beads onto long strings. They're laughing and trading colors. A man nearby leans against a pole, carving shapes into a wooden panel. His hands are fast, and little curls of wood fall to the ground. You see a schoolhouse. It has no walls, just a roof and long tables. The teacher is pointing at the sky. The children all look up. You follow their eyes. A giant jellyfish floats above. It glows a soft purple and pulses slowly. Small birds fly around it, landing on its top like it's a quiet hill. Next to the schoolhouse is the wind station. Big fans turn slowly in the breeze. A group of teenagers are checking ropes and writing on clipboards. One of them sees you and nods. You nod back. Then you hear it. A deep sound like a drum. Boom. Then again, boom. People pause. Some look at each other. Storm bell, someone whispers. You look at the sky. It's still bright, but darker clouds are gathering on one side. They look heavier than the others, and they move faster. A tall man with a golden rope around his waist walks to the center of the platform. He claps his hands. Everyone inside, he says calmly. Seal your windows. Tie down your sails. People move quickly now, but still quiet, like they've done this 100 times. Children pick up their beads. The teacher rolls up the map. You feel your chest tighten. What do you do? The woman from the fruit stall calls to you. Come with me, she says. You're new. You follow her. Her house is small and round with a red door. She opens it and you step inside. It smells like cinnamon and pine. There are soft rugs on the floor and a round window with a thick rope shutter. She pulls the shutter closed and latches it. You sit on a cushion. The room sways just a little. Outside, the wind picks up. You hear the ropes creak. The balloon sails flap hard. The bell sounds again, closer now. Boom, boom. She hands you a cup of tea. It smells like mint and something sweet. You sip it. It warms your mouth and your belly. Don't worry, she says. It's just a gust storm. It'll pass. You look around the room. There are pictures on the walls, paintings of the sky, of fish, of kites. A wooden shelf holds jars of dried herbs and bottles with paper labels. A fat white cat sleeps in a basket. It opens one eye, looks at you, and goes back to sleep. The wind howls louder now. The whole house creaks. You grip your cup tighter. Is it always like this, you ask? Not always, she says, but the sky is alive. It breathes and rolls. You learn to move with it. The gusts roar outside. For a while, no one speaks. You just listen to the wind, to the creaking ropes, to the sound of your own breathing. Then slowly, it fades. The bell stops. The flapping calms. The swaying softens. She opens the shutter. The clouds are brighter again. The jellyfish is back. The village is still standing. You let out a breath you didn't realize you were holding. You stand and thank her. She nods and walks with you back outside. People are already back to work. The kids go back to the school. The man starts carving again. The teenager checks the fans. You walk to the edge of the platform and look down. The clouds shift below you. One opens just a little. For a second, you think you see something far below, a tall shape, like a tower, rising from the mist. But then the cloud closes again. Did you see that? You ask. The woman smiles, but doesn't answer. You stand there for a long time, watching the clouds. The air smells clean now, like it's been washed. You feel calm, a little tired, but also excited. As the sky settles and Wind Hollow returns to its gentle sway, you find your way back across the platforms. Someone points you toward a hammock, strung between two tall poles near the edge of a quiet deck. You can rest here, they say kindly. It's safe now. So you do. You climb in, still feeling the warmth of the tea in your belly. The wind is softer now. You close your eyes and listen to the creak of ropes and the distant hum of fans. The village rocks you gently, like a cradle in the clouds. Sleep comes quickly. You wake up to the sound of soft bells. Not loud ones, just tiny chimes clinking in the wind, like little spoons tapping against glass. The hammock they gave you swings slowly. It's tied to two poles made from driftwood, strong and bleached white from years of sunlight. You can still feel the swaying under your back, like you're resting on a boat. But there's no ocean here, only the sky. You sit up and rub your eyes. The air is chilly. It smells like wet rope, steamed rice, and the tang of something sweet, maybe fruit drying in the sun. Out your window, you see the floating village again, now in full morning light. The balloon sails above flap quietly. Ropes stretch between platforms like spider webs, holding up little homes and shops with paper roofs. Everything moves gently, but no one seems scared of falling. You hear laughter. Kids tossing cloudberries into the air and trying to catch them in their mouths. You see a woman pulling laundry from a basket, her feet bare and steady on the wooden planks. A man sharpens hooks, humming a low tune that sounds like a lullaby. But what catches your eye is the figure perched on the tallest roost. He stands alone, balanced like a bird on a narrow platform. He's not young, maybe 60 or older. His skin is weathered, and his shoulders are strong but tired. Wind tugs at his long coat, made of stitched glider fabric. His hair is white, tied back in a short knot. On his hip, you see a net made from cloud spider silk. People whisper that only sky fishers use that kind of net. Someone walks by and sees you watching. "That's old Jaro," the woman says. She's carrying a crate of tea leaves. "Best golden ray catcher Wind Hollow ever had." You ask what a golden ray is. She grins. Biggest thing in the sky. Shines like metal. Hard to catch, but he could do it with one arm behind his back. Used to fish with his daughter, but she's, well, no one really talks about that. The woman walks away, her sandals slapping softly on the boards. You keep watching Jaro. He ties something to the tall pole, a wind chime made of bones and copper. When the wind hits it, the sound changes, almost like it's talking to him. He doesn't smile. He doesn't frown either. He just sips something from a wooden cup, then kneels and starts fixing a kite. His fingers move slowly, like he's done this 1,000 times. You see thread between his teeth, tiny scissors tied to his belt, and patches of colored cloth around him. You wander closer. No one stops you. People here don't seem to worry about visitors. Some give you a polite nod. Others are too busy cutting fish or rubbing oil into balloon ropes. By the time you reach the edge of the roost tower, Jaro is putting the kite away. He doesn't look surprised to see you. "You're not from here," he says, not unkindly. You shake your head. "Just visiting." He nods once, then pours another cup of bitter-smelling tea. He doesn't offer it to you, but he doesn't tell you to leave either. You sit cross-legged on the warm wood, careful not to lean too far over. There's no railing here, just sky and clouds and the tiny dots of gondolas floating far below. "What's that?" you ask, pointing to the photo tucked inside his fishing journal. He places a hand on it without looking. "That's my daughter." He says nothing more for a while. You hear a faint buzzing in the distance. Then a crackling sound, like dry leaves rubbing together. Jaro turns his head sharply and looks toward the east. His jaw tightens. "Storm nets," he mutters. You don't see anything at first, but then you spot it. A long, flat ship with wings like a beetle. It glides in fast, trailing cables. A group of sky hunters, not from Wind Hollow. Their nets aren't for catching rays. They're made for stealing kites and slicing ropes. Jaro stands up slowly. His knees crack. He watches the ship, but he doesn't reach for his net. "They don't usually come this high," he says. You ask if it's dangerous. He nods. "Could be." A moment later, a younger fisher clambers up from below. Her cheeks are red from climbing. "Jaro," she says, panting. "Captain says we might need you on the south tether. They're cutting anchor ropes." He shakes his head. "I don't fly anymore." The girl frowns. "But your kite's already set." I said no. She leaves without arguing. You look at Jaro. He's staring down at his hands now, rough and lined. "I used to chase golden rays through storm tunnels," he says quietly. "With my daughter. Fastest team in the sky. We thought we were untouchable." You say nothing. Just wait. One day, a ray dove too low. I followed. She followed me. His voice gets quieter. She didn't make it out. He doesn't cry. He just takes a deep breath and looks out at the clouds. I still fix my nets, still mend kites, but I don't fly. I stay up here and I listen. To what? To the wind, he says, and the chimes. Sometimes I think I hear her voice in them. You sit together in silence. The wind moves through the copper bones again. It sounds like singing. From far below, you hear the crowd cheering. The invaders turned away. Maybe they saw the sky guards lining up, or maybe the weather turned against them. Jaro doesn't cheer. He just sips his tea. He picks up a piece of cloth and begins to sew. His fingers are slower than before, but still careful. "You want to learn how to stitch a windtail?" he asks. You nod. And so, for the next hour, you sit beside him, your fingers poked and clumsy, the thread always slipping. But he doesn't laugh. He just shows you again and again. The wind is cool on your cheeks. The smell of boiled fish and ginger drifts up from a house nearby. You can hear people singing somewhere, a soft, steady work song. You feel safe. When the lesson is over, Jaro hands you a tiny kite he made while you weren't looking. "For the visitor," he says. "Don't let it fly too far." You smile, and for the first time since you arrived, you feel like maybe this place isn't just a floating village full of ropes and sails. Maybe it's a home. The kite Jaro gave you hangs on your wall now, just above the hammock. It doesn't move much, but when the breeze slips through the window, its tail flutters like it remembers something. You watch it for a while before sleep takes you. You wake up early, just as the light outside turns soft and golden. The floor of your room creaks when you step on it. You're still getting used to how everything here floats and sways gently, like the whole village is rocking in a giant hammock. You slip on your boots and step outside. The sky looks different every morning. Today, it's pale blue, with streaks of white cloud stretched like ribbons. The air smells like warm rope and salt. Somewhere, a bell rings, slow and hollow, calling the early fishers to the launch platforms. You don't go there yet. You want to explore more. The first place you stop is the net weaving deck. It's a big, flat area made of wooden slats, tied together with thick sky vine. Children sit in rows, working with colorful rope. They call it knot spells. You watch as one girl ties a pattern with green and yellow strings, her fingers moving fast. When she pulls tight, the net twists into a shape that shines faintly. She holds it up. It looks like a tiny floating box. An old woman with a scarf wrapped around her head walks past and nods to her. "Good luck, Snare," she says. You write that down in your notebook. The people here believe knots can hold more than fish. Next, you follow the smell of something sweet and sticky. The lantern market is open. It's not a loud market like you're used to. No shouting, just soft voices, small laughs, and the sound of fluttering wings. Dozens of balloonfish float above the stalls. They glow in soft colors, blue, pink, pale green. Each fish carries a paper lantern tied gently to its back. The lanterns sway in the breeze, lighting the walkways with a gentle hum. Some are shaped like animals. One looks like a fox with a curling tail. Another looks like a ship. You walk past a stall selling tiny wind cakes. They're made from sky flour and sugar dust, then puffed up with warm air from a flame flower plant. You buy one and take a bite. It's crunchy on the outside, soft in the middle. It tastes like honey and cinnamon. You smile. A group of villagers pass you. One of them is Jaro. He doesn't notice you at first. but others give him small nods. Nobody claps him on the back or calls out his name. They just nod. The way you'd nod to a mountain or a storm that passed safely. Jaro only gives a short nod in return. His eyes are far away. You flip open your notebook again. Jaro, respected, not friendly, like an old kite that still flies high. You leave the market and follow a narrow path lined with wind chimes. They tinkle as you pass. Some sound like birds, some sound like water. You reach the edge of the village where the memory pole forest stands. The poles are tall and smooth. Each one has kites tied to it. Hundreds of them. Some are small and simple, like folded paper birds. Others are large and colorful, shaped like dragons or suns. Every kite has writing on it. You walk slowly between them. A breeze makes the tails flap and the paper rustle. You read a few. Thank you for teaching me the names of clouds. I hope you found the silver ray. Come back before the yellow wind rises again. You can feel your chest grow warm and tight, like someone put a lantern in it. There's an old man sitting on a bench nearby, carving something with a knife. He doesn't look up. He just says, "Dream kites." You hang one when you're ready to let go, but still want the sky to remember. You nod, even though he's not looking. You write it down. Then you keep walking. Later, you visit the glider docks. They look like boat docks, but instead of water, there's only open air. Cloth-winged gliders are tied with thick ropes to floating platforms. Each one is shaped differently. Some like birds, some like leaves. You touch one. The fabric is cool and smooth. It smells like smoke and sky wax. A teenager checks one of the gliders nearby. She tests the ropes, then pours some glowing oil into a thin pipe running down the wing. When she notices you, she gives a small wave. You wave back. You sit on a crate and watch as one glider launches. It runs off the platform, dips low, then catches the wind and soars up into the clouds. You can almost feel the lift in your own chest. You think about your old home, the ground markets, the noisy streets, the smell of stone and metal. You liked it there, but here, everything moves slower, softer. People look up more than they look down. You decide to visit the village archives next. They're not in a building. They're in the feathers of a giant wind bird. The wind bird is carved from driftwood and shaped like a swan. Inside, scrolls and cloth books are stacked neatly. Each one has symbols on the cover. You choose one at random. It smells like old paper and dried flowers. You read about a time when Wind Hollow drifted too far south and had to ride a heat spiral for 3 weeks just to get back. You write another note. This village sails the sky like a ship. The people don't steer it. They adjust to it. Before sunset, you return to your room. You lay out your notes across your floor, each one a small square of parchment. You try to make sense of them, but there's no clear pattern. Not yet. You hear footsteps outside. You peek through the window. Jaro walks past, heading toward the outer decks. He stops once, looking out at the clouds. Then he keeps going. You don't follow, not tonight. Instead, You light a small sky lantern by your bed. It glows a soft green. You sit on the floor and read one of your notes out loud. The people here don't live on the sky. They live with it. You close your notebook. The lantern flickers a little, then steadies. You lie back on your bed and look up at the wooden ceiling, where someone before you carved a shape of a fish into one of the beams. The wind outside makes the building creak gently. The sky shifts. You think maybe you're starting to understand. You wake up earlier than usual. The sky outside your window is a light purple, the kind of color that means the sun hasn't fully made up its mind yet. Wind Hollow is quiet in the mornings. You can usually hear the creaking of nets swaying in the breeze and the soft hum of lanterns returning to their perches after a night of drifting. But today, there's something else. It sounds like shouting. Not angry shouting, more like a child who doesn't care how loud he is. You follow the noise through the hanging walkways. The wood is cool under your bare feet, still damp from the mist that floats through Wind Hollow like it owns the place. As you get closer, you see a small crowd, and in the middle, a boy. He's maybe 8 or 9. His dark hair is sticking up like it fought with the wind and lost. He's wearing a thick jacket, the kind made for damp places, and his boots are still muddy. This is Kay. He came from the ground, the foggy land far below the sky villages. No one ever visits from down there. Too wet, too heavy, too forgotten. But here he is, standing in Wind Hollow, hands on his hips, demanding to know where the elevators are. "How do you get anywhere?" he says, pointing at a rope bridge like it's a joke. The elders give you a look. Not mean, just tired. One of them pats your arm. "You understand outsiders better than we do," she says. "Maybe watch over him for a bit." You nod before you can think of a reason not to. Kay doesn't wait for you. He takes off running, almost slipping on a hanging plank. You chase after him, heart racing. He moves like he doesn't believe falling is real. You follow him through the lantern market. The balloonfish lights are dim in the morning, still yawning open from their night glow. Kay pokes one with a stick. It burps out a puff of blue light and floats higher. He laughs. "Cool," he says, "but why fish? Why not, like, drones or something?" You don't have an answer. You just write it down in your notebook. Later, you take him to the tea platform. Jaro is there, setting out cups. He looks at Kay like he's a bee that might sting, but hasn't yet. Kay looks at Jaro like he's a statue. He walks around him twice before saying, "Do you do anything, or just stand there?" You're ready to apologize, but Jaro just grunts. He puts down the teapot and says, "Come with me." His voice is flat like a board, but Kay grins. He likes a challenge. You go too, half because someone needs to, half because you're curious what Jaro will do. He takes you both to the tether nets. These are giant spiderweb-looking things stretched out below the village. They catch falling tools, and sometimes birds. Jaro checks the ropes every week. This time, Kay just blinks. "I don't know sky stuff." "Figure it out," Jaro says. You expect Kay to complain, but he shrugs and crouches down. He tries to copy Jaro's knot. It's too loose, then too tight, Then it slips apart. But Jaro doesn't scold. He just watches, quietly, patiently. You sit nearby writing. You jot down. Jaro teaches without talking. Kay listens without knowing he's listening. After a while, the wind picks up. It smells like salt and old feathers. Kay's jacket flaps around his waist as he grins at his finished knot. It's not perfect, but it holds. Later that day, you take Kay to the memory pole forest. It's quiet there. Too quiet for him. "These are just sticks," he says. "They're poles," you tell him. "People write dreams on kites and hang them here." Kay squints at one of the kites. It's made of thin yellow cloth. The writing is tiny, but you know it says, "I want my son to forgive me." Kay doesn't ask questions this time. He just walks quietly for a while. Then he reaches up and ties his own kite. You don't see what he writes. That night, you take him back to the guest hut. He's still wiggly, but he yawns in the middle of a sentence about elevator buttons. You make him soup with dried vegetables and cloudberries. He says it tastes like wet paper with jam, but he eats the whole bowl. You lie on the mat next to his, staring at the ceiling beams. They're made of driftwood and old ship parts. You trace the knots with your eyes. Kay is already snoring, his arms spread like a starfish. You feel something different inside you. Not worry, not quite peace, just something like beginning. The next few days follow a new rhythm. In the mornings, Kay helps Jaro. He pulls ropes, checks pulleys, and once even catches a runaway wind chime before it sails into the sky. Jaro still barely talks, but he gives Kay nods, and once he gave him a dried fig from his lunch. Kay smiled at that fig like it was treasure. In the afternoons, you and Kay explore. You take him to the glider shed. You show him the old sky maps, rolled up in tubes made from puffwood. He says the ground doesn't have maps like these. We just follow the pipes. One day, you find him scribbling in your notebook. At first, you're annoyed, but then you read it. Cloud Village is weird, but Jaro is kinda cool. And the balloonfish smell like hot socks, but in a good way. You keep that page, but not everything is easy. One afternoon, Kay tries to climb one of the tether towers alone. He says he wants to see how far up it goes. You find him halfway up, shaking. The wind is strong that day. His boots slip on the ropes. You climb up slowly, heart pounding. You reach him and hold out your hand. He grabs it hard. Later, back on the platform, you expect him to cry or yell, but he just stares at the sky. "It's too big up here," he says. You nod. That night, he doesn't eat much. He curls up early and doesn't speak. You sit by the window, watching the balloonfish bob outside. You wonder if the village is too quiet for someone like Kay, if he'll ask to go home. But the next morning, he's the first one up. He pulls on his muddy boots and says, "Let's go fix some ropes." You smile, and so it goes. The village gets used to his noise. The children even chase after him sometimes, asking questions, showing him how to fly their wind kites. The elders watch from a distance, nodding slowly. You wake up to the sound of tapping. It's not rain, It's the wind knocking a small branch against your window. The breeze in Wind Hollow always moves early, before the sun rises too high. You pull on your jacket and stretch. The air smells like cool linen and salt. It's going to be a good flying day. When you step outside, you see Jaro already by the edge of the launch deck. He's folding a kite plank, tying it down with short rope. His beard is wet from morning mist. Kay is sitting nearby, legs swinging over the ledge, tossing crumbs to a bird with glassy wings. The bird doesn't eat them, it just watches. You join them, holding a small pouch of dried mango. Today is lesson 3. Reading the wind. Jaro lifts a strip of yellow fabric and lets it flutter. You notice how the wind moves it, first to the left, then higher, then a short burst straight up. Jaro points, but says nothing. Kay squints. You do too. You both try to guess what the wind will do next. Kay says down. It goes up. You say right. It goes still. Jaro sighs. He pulls out 3 more strips, all different colors, and hands them to Kay. Then he walks away, letting you two figure it out. Kay grumbles, but ties one strip to a long stick and holds it up like a flag. You take out your notebook and draw arrows for him. This way for west, that way for drop gusts. It helps. A little. Later that morning, you head to the training docks. These are long wooden paths that stretch over the cloud sea. They shake when you walk, but only slightly. You used to avoid them. Now you walk with steady feet, mostly. Kay runs ahead, dragging his kite plank behind him. It scrapes loudly, leaving small grooves in the wood. You chase after him, worried he might trip. He does, but he rolls over laughing, even as his knees get scraped. You sit him down and wipe the dirt off with your sleeve. Then you show him how to patch his plank. You've watched Jaro do it a few times. Apply the wax, press the cloth, hold it still for a count of 20. Kay counts too fast. You make him start over. He groans, but does it again. In the afternoon, Jaro shows up with a long net and a quiet nod. Sky creatures are coming. These aren't the big ones, not like sky whales or drifting turtles. These are glowfins, small darting things that look like jellyfish, but shimmer like coins. They zip through the air in groups and sometimes get tangled in sails. Today, the goal is to guide them away from the village. You and Kay each take a pole with a small bell on the end. Jaro takes the net. You move slowly, swaying your poles and ringing the bells. The glowfins respond. Some drift toward the open sky. Others try to hide under the walkways. Kay gets too close to one cluster. His foot slips. You drop your bell and grab his shirt, just in time. He dangles there, wide-eyed, staring down into the cloud cover. You pull him up, and your arms shake after. He says nothing. Neither do you. But your hearts beat fast for a long time. That night, the 3 of you sit by the canteen fire. The food smells simple. Boiled root vegetables, a bit of egg, and flatbread. You tear a piece and pass it to Kay. He dips it in salt paste and makes a face, but eats it anyway. Jaro stays quiet, as always, but nods when you thank him for the lesson. You sleep early but lightly. You dream of falling, then flying. The next few days settle into a rhythm. Morning wind reading. Midday kite plank practice. Evening sky creature patrols. You start to like the quiet in between, when Kay is too tired to talk, and Jaro lets his guard down just enough to smile. A soft one. Not wide, but real. Kay stops trying to impress anyone. He starts listening. He fixes his plank without asking for help. He learns the names of the birds that nest under the floating dock. He even stops throwing crumbs. You all take turns. It doesn't sting, but it smells awful, like spoiled fruit and wet feathers. Kay pulls you out with a long hook. He laughs the whole time. You splash water on your boots and laugh too. The sky starts to feel smaller, not in a bad way, just closer, like a room with windows you finally opened. You notice the shift in air before rain now. You recognize the cries of different birds. Even Jaro seems impressed when you help retie a sail without asking. You're not just visiting anymore. You belong. One evening, as the sun drops low, you sit on the edge of the dock. The sky is orange, then pink, then soft gray. The clouds below look thick enough to walk on, though you know better. Kay sits beside you, legs swinging again. He's quiet, not asleep, just tired. You hand him a small rock you found earlier, smooth, with a hole in the middle. He takes it, turns it in his fingers, then puts it in his pocket. No words, just a small moment shared. Jaro walks past, carrying folded sails. He doesn't stop, but he nods. You nod back. That night, you stand by your window, watching stars peek out one by one. You think about the sky, how big it is, how empty it seemed at first, and how full it feels now. You still don't know if this is where you'll stay forever. But for now, it's enough. Tomorrow, there will be wind and lessons, and maybe a new creature to guide. You smile and climb into bed. The wind taps at your window again. This time, you leave it open. You leave early in the morning. The sky is quiet, not windy, just soft and still. Even the ropes on the sky sloop don't creak like they usually do. Jaro checks the sails. Kay stands beside him, looking serious for once. You pack the small bag with dried sky fruit and boiled eggs. There's no telling how long you'll be out. You go past the song line after breakfast. It's not a real line, just a name for where the old fishers stop. Beyond that, the wind feels different. Not stronger, just stranger. Sometimes it pushes from below, lifting the sloop too fast. Other times, it slides sideways without warning. Jaro keeps one hand on the rudder at all times. You hold on to the rail and watch the clouds. They look like boiling soup. Big lumps roll over each other, some as tall as towers. One even opens up like a flower, white and gold, then closes again and drifts away. Kay leans forward. He points at something shiny. At first, you think it's light bouncing off the clouds. Then it moves. The mirror fish come from the west, flying low and fast. Their scales flash silver, blue, and green. When they turn, they vanish for a second, completely invisible, then appear again. Closer. They circle the boat in silence. No sound at all, just the flap of sails and your breath. You duck when one flies too close. Kay laughs, but it's nervous. Jaro watches the fish with a still face. After a while, the fish vanish into the clouds as quickly as they came. You anchor at a wind isle not long after. It's a flat patch of skyweed and floating stones, tied together by vines and netting. Old fishers built it years ago, then left it alone. It wobbles a little when you step off the boat. You stretch your legs. The air smells different here, like cold metal and wet leaves. You sit on a stone and unwrap your egg. Kay crunches on dried fruit. Jaro stays quiet. After a while, Jaro speaks. His voice is softer than usual. My daughter came this way once. She was older than Kay, fast on the wind, never liked staying still. You nod and open your notebook, but your pen stays still. You don't want to interrupt. She chased a golden sky manta, he says. Said she saw it during a red sunset near the split winds. She followed it, went farther than I ever dared. You glance at Kay. He's listening with wide eyes. The wind picks up just a little, and the skyweed rustles. I never saw her again, Jaro says. Nobody moves for a long time. You write it all down. Not just the words, the way his voice slowed down, the way his hands stayed still, the way Kay sat closer without noticing. Later, Kay tries flying his kite plank around the isle. It dips and wobbles, but he's getting better. You catch yourself smiling when he manages a steady loop. Jaro pretends not to watch, but you see his eyes following every move. You walk to the far edge of the isle. There, you can see a stretch of deep blue clouds, stacked like mountains. Something flickers inside them. Maybe lightning. Maybe something else. You feel nervous, but not scared. You sit down and rest your back against a stone. The sky feels bigger here. The air smells like copper and sweet moss. Your legs are tired. Your hands are cold. You close your eyes for a moment. When you open them, the sun is lower. Jaro is setting up a heat lantern. Kay is lying on his back, tracing shapes in the clouds. You feel something settle in your chest. Not heavy, just full. You don't know where this path leads, but for now, you know you want to keep walking it. You come back to Wind Hollow when the winds feel safer and the clouds stop spinning. The sky feels softer. It smells of sun-warmed cloth and faint salt, like when fresh laundry dries near the sea. Your gondola clicks gently into its mooring, and Jaro nods. Kay jumps off first, holding his little bag of notes and wind charms. You follow with your journal tucked under your arm. The city is still the same, but you see it differently now. The market rings with voices and clinking tools, but it doesn't feel so loud. You smell warm soy cakes from the bakery at the corner. A basket of sky plums sits on a vendor's cart. They're dark purple with tiny white spots, like they were dusted with sugar. You grab two and toss one to Kay. He catches it, bites in, and keeps walking. Later, you find Kay kneeling beside a younger kid near the repair deck. The kid's hands are small and clumsy. His fishing line is tangled like a nest. Kay shows him how to smooth it out. He doesn't rush. He just loops the thread around his fingers and pulls gently. You watch for a long time. Kay doesn't notice, or maybe he does, but he pretends not to. At dinner, you sit at a long bench near the lift station. Jaro hands you bowls of soup with crunchy bits on top. Kay eats fast and wipes his mouth with his sleeve. Then he helps an old woman carry her basket up the stairs. He used to run from chores. Now, he offers. You realize something. He isn't the only one who's different. You used to stay close to your gondola, counting coins and checking your cargo twice. Now, you leave the lists behind. You go walking. You sit longer in the breeze. You know the names of 5 different sky creatures. You can fold a wind map without tearing it. At night, the wind feels warm. You hear a song playing from a window. Someone strums a sky guitar, soft, slow notes that make the whole dock feel sleepy. Kay walks beside you. His boots scuff the wood, but he doesn't speak. You reach a gondola lift, smaller than the ones for cargo. It swings like a basket. Kay climbs in and pats the seat beside him. You hesitate, then sit. The lift creaks as it lowers. Down, down, past the platforms with lights and fishing lines. Down through the cloud sheet that glows from the lamps above. Then, below the clouds, everything is dark. No city, no floating platforms, just black sky with stars. You look up. Wind Hollow shines above you. Its levels float like coins dropped in water. Lights flicker yellow and soft blue. Gondolas drift between towers. Wind trees spin slowly, glowing faint green. From below, it looks like a giant lantern held in the sky. You never saw it this way before. Kay leans back and folds his hands behind his head. He smiles without looking at you. Nobody down there knows, he says. You don't answer. You just stare. People on the ground see only the bottoms of clouds. Maybe they think the sky is empty. Maybe they think wind creatures are just stories. They don't know about the storm belts or the glass-winged birds. You remember your first day here. You were tired, stiff, thinking of coin counts. You never even looked up. The gondola keeps swaying. Kay closes his eyes. You think about how small things matter. Teaching a knot, sharing a plum, listening to an old story. None of those things change the world, but they change the day. Above you, Wind Hollow floats quiet and steady. You know the smell of its markets and the way morning fog curls around the wind poles. You know which bakery opens first. You know how Jaro hums when he works. The city hasn't changed, but you have. The lift reaches the lower dock. Kay stands and stretches. You stay seated for a second longer, staring up. Then you follow. It begins with a knock on the workshop door. Not a loud knock, just a slow tap-tap, like rain starting on a window. You're sorting wind traps with Kay when Jaro calls you both over. He opens a tall wooden cabinet you've never seen before. It smells like dust and old paint. Inside is a rolled-up canvas, tied with soft red thread. Jaro carries it carefully to the main table, sets it down, and unrolls it slowly. You help hold the edges flat. The canvas is huge, maybe the size of a full sail. It's not a normal map. There are no neat lines, no clear borders. Instead, it's filled with loops, swirls, handprints, smudges, and tiny drawings. Some are made with ink. Others are painted with crushed petals or glowing sea dust. You lean in closer to examine the details. There's a circle made of golden dots that spark when the light hits just right. Near it, someone had drawn a single feather with red charcoal. There's a pattern that looks like folded cloth, stitched right into the canvas. You touch it. The thread is rough and faded. Jaro doesn't speak at first. He just watches you both looking. Then he nods. "This is the sky map," he says. His voice is quiet, like the wind before a storm. He tells you each skyfisher adds to it only once. One mark, one memory. Some people drew places where they were happiest. Others painted storms they survived. Some added something they lost. Kay finds a pale blue shape that looks like a bird nest. Inside it is a tiny gray stone tied with wire. Jaro tells him that was his wife's mark. No one adds to the sky map quickly. You don't just doodle and walk away. People wait until it feels right. You feel something strange in your chest, a mix of warm and heavy. Jaro hands you a small tin box. Inside are old tools, a thin brush, tiny scissors, and a circle of soft paper made from cloudgrass. "If you're ready," he says. You sit for a long time, thinking. Then you take the brush and dip it into a bit of ink. You draw a simple shape, your trader's stamp, but with wings added to each side. You place it in the corner, beside Jaro's daughter's glowing arc. Kay presses his own hand into orange powder made from dried ember fruit. He sets it next to yours. Their edges touch. You don't speak. You don't need to. Later that day, you help Jaro fix a broken net. Kay collects rope that smells like smoke and salt. The work feels slow and calm. Your hands move without thinking. You know these knots now. You know where the tools are kept. You know how the sky shifts just before rain. Wind Hollow feels different now. You notice the way light falls across the sails in the evening. You smell stew bubbling from the kitchen boat. You wave to a child balancing a bucket of clams. The routines aren't boring. They're quiet and full. That night, you dream. In the dream, you are floating, but not alone. The platforms are below you like stepping stones. You follow a trail of lights. Each light is a memory. Laughter, wind, soup, the weight of Jaro's map in your hands. You wake up before the last light. The next morning, you find Kay already outside, watching the sky. He hands you a sweet bun, still warm. It tastes like honey and ash. You eat slowly. You walk together past the sail yard, past the cloth dyers, past the platform where you first arrived. You look down. The clouds are thick today. The world below is hidden. You don't feel like a visitor anymore. Jaro meets you by the lift. He has a new map rolled under his arm, a normal one, full of lines and notes. But in his other hand, he says nothing. He just nods. You understand. There are still storms ahead, still questions. But now, You know the way forward isn't just about where you go. It's also about what you carry with you. You carry the sky map now. Not the canvas, but what it means. You carry home. And this time, it isn't something you're leaving. It's something you're building. The sky is warm tonight. Not hot, just warm like a blanket that sat in the sun all day. You sit on a long piece of drift plank with Jero and Kay. It's the kind of plank people use for walkways here in Wind Hollow, worn smooth by feet and wind. You run your fingers along the edge. It feels soft and splintery at the same time. The sun is going down slow, dipping behind the clouds in the distance. The clouds are pink and orange, like cotton candy someone dipped in paint. You can hear little bells from a nearby roost, wind chimes made from broken cups and old spoons. They tinkle gently with each breeze. Jero sits next to you, cross-legged, like always. His knees pop when he moves, but he doesn't complain. His coat is folded beside him, and his teacup rests on a flat stone. You can still smell the tea, bitter and earthy, like boiled tree bark and lemon. He's different now. You've noticed it little by little. He smiles more. Not big, toothy grins, just small ones. The kind that tug one side of his face when Kay makes a joke, or when you manage to stitch a kite tail without messing it up. He talks more too. Not about everything, but enough. Enough to feel like he wants to be here, not just survive the days. Kay is playing with a tiny glider toy. She made it herself, folded paper with bamboo slivers for wings. She tosses it into the air and watches it loop down toward the lower decks. A moment later, a kid from below throws it back up. Jaro chuckles, not a loud laugh, but real. You glance at him, and he's already pulling something from the inside of his bag. It's the wind compass. You've seen it before, once. It's round, metal, and scratched from use. The glass cover has a crack on one side, but the needle inside still moves. It doesn't point north. It points to the winds. Warm ones, cold ones, dry, stormy, soft. It's the kind of compass only sky fishers use, because they care more about the sky than the land. He holds it out to Kay. "For you," he says. Kay stares. "Really?" He nods. "It was mine. Before that, it was my captain's. It tells you more than wind. It tells you when to wait and when to go." Kay doesn't say anything for a second. Then she takes it with both hands, careful, like she's holding a bird. Her eyes are big and round. She doesn't smile. She just holds it to her chest. You look at Jaro. He looks at you. "Maybe it's time I flew again," he says. You nod. You don't say anything. You don't have to. You all sit for a while without speaking. The wind is gentle tonight. You hear someone sweeping a deck. Somewhere far off, a pot clinks against a stove. A baby cries, then stops. The world keeps going, just like always. Later, Jaro takes you both to the kite loft. It's a small shed near the roosting poles. Inside, it smells like glue, cloth, and old wood. You see kite frames hanging from hooks and rolls of silk tucked into baskets. There's a big window open to the wind. Jaro dusts off a bench and sits down. Then he pulls out a broken kite, one of his oldest ones. The cloth is torn, the string is frayed, the tail is missing. "I want to fix this," he says. "Together." So you get to work. You hold the frame while he ties knots. Kay cuts patches of cloth. The three of you work slowly, carefully. You don't rush. You talk a little, but not much. It's not a loud job. It's one where your hands do most of the talking. When it's done, it looks new again. Not perfect. The colors don't match, and the seams are uneven. But it's strong. Stronger than before. That night, Jaro shows you the sky launch. It's a tall platform at the very top of the roost tower. It's higher than any place you've stood before in Wind Hollow. The planks creak a little when you walk on them. There's no rail. The sky is dark blue now. Stars peek through. The moon is thin and bright. You watch Jaro tie the kite string to his belt. He checks the knots. Then he holds out his hand to you. Walk me to the edge? You take it. Together, you walk to the very tip of the launch. The wind is stronger here. It tugs at your sleeves and pushes your hair around. You feel like the whole world is made of air. Jaro lets go of your hand. He stands still for a moment. Then he runs. Not fast, not like a kid, but steady. The kite lifts. The string goes tight. His coat billows out, and then he's in the air. You hold your breath. Kay does too. He floats, then dips, then rises again. The kite catches the wind, and he rides it like an old friend. You can see him smile from here. You don't cheer. You just watch. That feels better. Later, he lands on a lower deck. You climb down to meet him. He's tired, sweaty, breathing heavy, but he's smiling. I didn't think I'd ever do that again, he says. Kay hands him a water bottle. You sit beside him, not saying anything. You stay there until the stars fade into morning. When you walk back to your hammock, you carry the feeling with you, like holding something soft and glowing in your chest. Something that says, this isn't just Jaro's story anymore. It's yours too. The morning sky over Wind Hollow is soft and pale, like the inside of a seashell. You wake to the sound of wind chimes made from old spoon handles and bits of glass. They clink gently outside your window, swaying with the breeze. You stretch and sit up on your small cot, the woven blanket slipping off your shoulders. The air smells like warm bread and salt. Someone is baking nearby. You pull on your boots and step outside. The wooden planks of the walkway creak under your feet. Below, the clouds drift slowly, hiding the world beneath. Above, the sky is clear with only a few wispy clouds. You walk to the edge of the platform and look out. The village is quiet this early. A few sky fishers are preparing their gear. You see Jaro's house, its door slightly open. Kay's small kite plank is gone. He must have left early. You feel a mix of pride and sadness. Kay is ready for his own journey. He's chasing a map only he can see. You hope he finds what he's looking for. Back in your own space, you sit at your small table. You take out a piece of paper and a pen. You write to Kay, "The sky is bigger than we thought. Thank you for showing us." You fold the letter and place it in a small bottle. You walk to the edge of the platform and release it into the wind. The bottle floats upward, caught by a gentle gust, and disappears into the clouds. Later, you help Jaro prepare his gear. He checks the ropes and sails, his hands steady. He smiles more now, speaks longer. He trusts you. At sunset, you both sit together on a drift plank. The sky turns orange and pink. Jaro gives you a small, carved token. It's a symbol of the village, of the skyfishers. He says, "Maybe it's time I flew again." You nod. You don't need to say anything. You both understand. As night falls, you look up at the stars. The platforms of Wind Hollow glow softly, like floating lanterns. You feel the wind lift the village slightly. You hold your balance and smile. You're not just a trader anymore. You carry stories now. You teach the younger ones how to read the wind, how to guide the sky creatures. You help build and repair. You're part of something bigger. You still dream of Kay, wondering where he is, what he sees. But you know he's out there, exploring the world beyond. And you're here, helping Wind Hollow grow. The sky is vast, full of possibilities, and you're ready for whatever comes next.